While astrology disappeared from the mainstream for some time, it was reborn into the popular form we know today. In the spirit of our modern age requiring quick and immediate results, the ancient art was simplified to an accessible and easy form. Magazines, newspapers, and books began to be populated in the form of sun sign astrology. Although sun sign astrology ignored the fact that astrology requires precise birth data, it communicated to the masses and retained the awareness of astrology in the public eye.
It's hurt it in the sense that the public thinks that's all there is. Many of the public, much of the public thinks that's all there is, and so it is entertaining, and it is limiting, and it does project to a degree an entertainment or fortune-telling quality to the field. On the other hand, it does make people aware that there is a cycle. There are cycles that go on in the universe, and they affect all of us. Even though there's only 12 general areas by sun sign, there's changes that go through them, and there's cycles that go through them, and you have to know a little bit about astrology to know that an Aries is going to have a different type of experience today than a Taurus, than a Gemini, etc. So it does make them aware that people are different, even though it does say there's only 12 different categories. If they begin to think, well, there's something to this sun sign, and maybe there's something more to it than sun sign, then they're liable to take that next step and want to know, what is my ascendant? Where is my moon? Where are the other planets? What does a real astrologer, a full-time astrologer, look at besides just the sun sign? So it does bring people into the awareness that there's something out there going on, but by itself, it can be harmful too, because people might think that's all there is just a sun sign.
I'd say that the most skeptical culture that I know is America. It's very, very, America wants to show me the money, bottom line stuff. And it's very, it has a lot of bad faith about all kinds of things. I mean, I don't know what it is. And therefore I think that keeps Americans from really getting good value from astrological readings. Okay. If you're working with people in Venezuela, for example, and they're very educated and cultivated, much often with a level of education and culture which is superior to ours in America, but they're ready to try things out. They're eager to experiment with the ideas that come up in a reading, and they're so malleable in a way that they really get a lot out of their consultations. You won't find that same effect in America.
However, astrology as a serious metaphysical system had continued to redevelop and improve from the ancient art. 3 new planets were discovered and merged into the traditional astrology. Also, with the advent of modern psychology, astrology began to form a solid foundation and theoretical basis. The humanistic movement of astrology was formed with emphasis on man's free will. One of the greatest contributors to the New Age movement and growth of modern astrology was Carl Jung. The Swiss psychologist and disciple of Sigmund Freud developed his own system of psychology. Jung had studied astrology as well as various metaphysical ideas, particularly Eastern philosophy. In Jung's book Synchronity, he had helped develop a theoretical basis for astrology that astrologers of today still reference. Even in the scenario of working with difficult psychiatric patients, Jung would reference their horoscopes to gain a deeper understanding of their neurosis. Jung had also conducted a statistical study examining charts of thousands of marriages, which helped to confirm traditional astrological lore for marriage signs.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections between Jungian psychology and astrology. It's sometimes people almost equate psychological astrology with Jungian approach to astrology, but I think that's really very limiting, because there's all sorts of different theoretical models and different theorists that have developed concepts that are applicable or can be subsumed within the model of astrology. So I would want to just preface any remark I make about Jung's analytical model of psychology as certainly not the final word in psychological astrology, although it is probably, it's fair to say.
There have been some. Carl Jung was into it. For instance, he did a study on solar-lunar, I think, compatibility analysis between people. And he's a well-respected psychoanalyst, of course. He did a statistical study on introversion, extroversion.
Another hero of astrology was Miguel Kaufman with his enormous contribution to astrology's scientific validity. The French statistician originally began his study to disprove astrology. Surprised by his results, Kaufman continued to pursue his study of thousands of charts. Kaufman recognized a strong correlation with the professions people fell in based on their indications in their chart.